sound person letting us know?
If everybody will let us know, we will appreciate that. I know it's funny. We have some people logging on to like our temporary live and they're like, no sound. But I believe that we have fixed it. Do you believe we fixed it?
I think we have.
Now
I'm
we
just
can
waiting for
high-five.
confirmation.
I believe in faith. I believe that we have fixed
sound.
it. Hopefully we do so that we can get on it.
Let me see.
Let's see. We're waiting.
Just waiting for confirmation.
Waiting for everybody to catch
Okay.
back up on
yeah,
this
we're
live.
good. Yes, I can
Woo!
hear you loud and clear. Yay!
Yes.
Thank you.
Finally.
Yes. And then someone else said, yes, I can hear you.
Good. We have
Great
once
sound.
again made it happen.
I tell you, this is not for the weak-hearted.
It is not. But we are back here for our fourth and last
Of our-
session
yep.
on Love Languages 101.
Yes, it's been a fun series.
It has been. Love languages are so important. They're not everything. Like I said, if your relationships are in a crisis, you know, you need to get through the crisis. But at the same time, love languages really help to open up communication and build goodwill
Absolutely.
between each other. So, yay, we're good. We're good now. Whew, thank goodness. Thank you, Sonia, for letting us know that. Thank you, too. Man, y'all are troopers hanging in there. We were, when we were on silent, talking about announcements. Next, you want to tell them about the healing meeting?
Yeah, next Wednesday we will go live like we do every Wednesday at 7:00, but that is our healing meeting night. So you can still join us here live for the teaching, and then afterwards we'll meet on Zoom. It's right after, and we'll do some ministry time with you guys.
And you will find a link. We will set the link up, and as you're listening to the live, too, we'll drop the link in the comments also. And on the 9th, is the 9th?
The 9th of March.
We will have our next online workshop. Do we remember what the title of that is?
I want to say I have it right here. Let me
Okay.
just check.
We changed it. Remember, I changed it up a little bit.
Yeah, but I think March is still... Let me check. I want to say I put it in the... Yeah, it's on the Sting of Heartbreak.
Oh, yes. I was hoping that's
That
one.
was it?
That was the one that was. I was thinking it was the Sting of Heartbreak.
Yeah.
Man, right in the time, right after
Right after
Valentine's.
Love Day.
Yes. So that'll be, I'm excited about that. I've already started working on that. So I was hoping that that was the one that was for next month, because we made a slight pivot on one of the workshops. So yay, I'm excited about that. So also I wanted to talk a little bit about the women's boot camp. Right now we're in the 63-day challenge, and we have had some amazing videos so far.
It's been awesome.
If you have not signed up for the 63-day challenge, you can still sign up, because we're on day 59?
58 today.
58 today? So 57 tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can still sign up, because there's still more days to be had.
Oh, yeah. There's tons of nuggets to still grab onto and just filling you up. I mean, there's plenty of time. So
Yes. One of the things that I wanted to announce is, and I know it's going to be a little sad for this, but we have some exciting things coming down the pipeline. But we will not be having a women's boot camp this year, or a couples boot camp this year.
Yeah.
We did get back from the men's boot camp, and it was awesome. We just had that this past weekend. Gosh,
Right.
it seems like I've just been kind of going and going and going.
Yeah.
But I don't want you to be saddened by the idea that we won't have a women's boot camp, because we have many exciting things coming down the pipeline, and it won't disappoint.
No.
But we can't just talk about everything right now.
That's right.
But you will be excited. And that's the neat thing. I'll say, being part of a ministry like we have, where we're constantly in a growth mode, is that, man, we truly try to stay in tune with the Spirit, and try to stay just like on the cutting edge of what Jesus is wanting to do at this moment in time. So it's been a nice run with the women's boot camp.
Yep.
And it's been
fun.
it's been amazing. I was wearing my key actually earlier today,
Aw,
but
you were.
I had a color scheme change, so I took that off. But just stay tuned because we have many exciting things. And I guess we can talk about one of the exciting things that we have coming up is we're going to have online courses. And I'm very excited about having courses as well as we're enlarging our groups online. And I am so excited about this year. I can't even tell you how I'm excited. But to be able to offer online groups, online classes, man, it's just, I believe the message that we carry is so important and brings so much freedom. And I love the hybrid way in which we can come together in person, but then we can also do things online. So I'm super excited about that this year. There'll be plenty of opportunities for us to come together in person and plenty of opportunities for online. So I'm really excited about that. So to dive into part 4 of our love languages. And I think what we'll do is I've got a couple topics for live that I want to do. And then after those couple topics, what I want to do is guess what?
What?
What do you think I want to do?
After we talk about a couple topics?
We've done love languages. I have a couple topics that I want to do in the transition. And then what do I want to do?
I don't know.
You know.
I don't know.
What do I always say? What's even, I think, more important than love languages?
I don't know. You're throwing
She
me.
totally knows, but it's blanking.
Well, I know what you said you were going to talk about. Is that what you're talking about
What?
tonight?
No. After love languages, we're going to, okay, she's not going to guess, but she
not
knows.
clicking.
I know.
As soon as you say it, I'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, I knew that.
Apology languages.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I just completely blanked on that.
That-
yes.
It was too obvious.
It
we
was.
talk about it all the time. I love apology languages because
Yeah.
you know what? I don't know about y'all, but do you put your foot in your mouth sometimes?
Yes.
Sometimes I put my foot in my mouth. And apology languages really are about how to reopen somebody's heart after it's been hurt. And I think they're actually even, I mean, everything's a tool, but apology languages, man, if you can get an apology language down to which, you know how, if you have conflict with your person or if you have conflict with the friend and somebody's heart has been wounded and there's some type of wound, how do you get things jump started? And it's actually much easier than you think it is. But just like we have different love languages, we speak different apology languages. And if somebody keeps telling you the same thing again and again and again, then you begin to realize, oh, wow, they're not hearing how I'm saying. Like if you notice when somebody's hurt, you can apologize to them, but if they keep saying it, then it's not getting through. There's something that's still there. And this helps so many couples to learn about apology languages. So we're going to be talking about that, but there's a couple little topics I want to talk about in between that I believe that will really set us up. You know, if we talk about ways to deal and manage conflict and stuff like that, I think that will really set us up for our apology languages because, man, conflict, it really grows a relationship, but if we don't know how to do it well,
it does not grow a relationship.
It goes like food.
Yes.
So we want to get a couple skills in that and learn how to talk, because no matter how much you learn about communication, if you can't communicate well to the other person, then it doesn't really work. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about our last one with the love languages. Do you know the love languages?
Oh, yes.
Let's
got 'em.
let's see.
got
And
'em.
isn't it exciting? Because even like I'll go like what's and every time
Yeah.
once in a while we'll miss one, but we've been talking about them.
Right. So
Okay,
they've been on
go.
Okay.
Impress me.
Physical touch.
Yes.
Quality time.
Yes.
Words of affirmation.
Yes.
Gifts.
Yes.
And acts of service.
Yay!
I always forget one. There's always one that I'm like, what?
I know there's always one that you're like, okay, now what was that?
Yeah.
What was that?
I will say, don't have the apology languages down. I know a few. I know like 3 of them, but I don't know all. I can't recall all of them.
But in a couple weeks, guess what?
I will know them
That's
backwards and
right.
forwards.
We will.
Again.
We will be able to talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
So, in talking about words of affirmation, I think this is honestly the one that people speak the most. And the one, most people are words of affirmation. And I think it's the easiest one to identify and the easiest one to convey. All you have to do is say nice things. That's all you have to do. Say nice things, have a nice tone, and don't be critical, and you're golden.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to take a little bit deeper dive than that. We're a little bit short for time because of our technical errors, but that's okay. This is one language, like I said, I think that it's the easiest one to speak. What do you think?
I totally agree.
Says the words of affirmation person.
It's so easy. Yeah.
It really is once you kind of get that idea.
Yeah.
But if you don't realize that it's a words of affirmation, people, for one, positive is very important. How important is positive to you?
Yes. It's very important.
And not just in the words, but a positive outlook, a positive slant on things. These are words of affirmation. People are encouragers, by far, and they just want things to be uplifted. They have a hard time with tenseness. They have a hard time with uncomfortableness. They have a hard time with space in conversations. If they think that the other person isn't okay with them, you want to talk a little bit about that? Do you resonate with what I'm saying about that?
To some degree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
I don't know what more to say. I don't know. I mean, yeah, if I think somebody's upset with me, I can see that it would be difficult for there to be quiet, but I don't know. I've worked on that a little bit, but the tension, yeah, that's not fun. I don't like that.
Yes. How does it feel for a words of affirmation person to have that uncomfortable silence when you think that, okay, what is this person going to say next? Or if it's that tense conversation?
It just makes your head scramble and be like, I don't know what to do here. It just kind of makes you feel overwhelmed, I think. It just makes it very uncomfortable.
Aww.
And you just want to back out of there.
Yes. I think that with words of affirmation, people, I don't think we understand enough how sensitive they are to tone, how sensitive they are to the energy. Like I said, keep things positive in the way, not everything you can talk about is positive, but try to keep it on the positive trajectory.
Yeah.
For that.
I definitely, tone is big to me. Like the way you say something and like if you can even say something difficult to me, but there's a way to say it where I can take it, and there's a way to say it where I'm like, I can't even hear that because it just feels too much.
You've done a lot of work in this area, and I would say I don't think all words of affirmation people can take being sensitive to tone. Can we be oversensitive?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can hear things that aren't even there. If I'm nervous, anxious, scared of the conflict, or
Yes.
I can do conflict with people that I'm not super in a really personal relationship with, but if you're really important to me, conflict's hard because of the tension between us,
And so I would say for words of affirmation people, what you really want to do is they talk about like they call it a hero sandwich. If you have to say something that is, you can say critical, but I would say 100% not positive.
We have different definitions of that, don't we?
With words of affirmation people, you have to kind of really learn your person's sensitive level. And on any given day, if somebody's having a great day, then it's a little bit less sensitive.
Oh, yeah.
But if they're feeling sensitive to criticism that day, it really is anything less than 100% positive. And that's not good or bad. Like I said, any of these languages aren't good or bad. They just are. And if you're trying to speak your person's love language, you have to begin to realize that. But they talk about a hero sandwich. And what a hero sandwich is, compliment, slide in not even a criticism,
Feedback,
but
I would say.
feedback, because feedback can feel like criticism to
Yeah.
words of affirmation people.
Yeah.
And then compliment. Here you go.
You gotta put condiments on it. Lettuce and tomato.
Lettuce, tomato,
Pickles.
onions, pickles, and all those are compliments. Because what they will tend to do, they just have an ear to hear through a negative bent if it's not 100% positive.
Yeah.
But they really can grow. You with words of affirmation have grown tremendously.
Yeah.
In this area. We all have to grow in whatever area where we need to. So I would say, to me, you're not the typical words of affirmation person, because you've done a lot of personal growth and work in those areas. But do you remember a time when that did feel like...
Oh yeah. I mean, it's still there to a degree. It just depends on like who it is and what level of importance they are in my life and how close our relationship was. Before, it was like anybody said anything. A stranger could say something negative and it would really affect me. I know, like for some people, it's like if they get like a year in review at work, they could be like, they have to give you something to be like, and work on this. Like that's the whole point. They can't just be like, you hit all the
You're
stars
perfect in every way.
Their goal is to give you something to work on, but they will hear all the positives and then dump them, and then only hear the one negative thing, and it'll crush them.
Yes, that's a good point. If you have an employee, if you have a review, and you find yourself very reactive to that, you might be words of affirmation.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. Tell me your words of affirmation without telling me your words of affirmation.
Also, I will say, and this may just be like this might lean more towards like a, disc thing, but if you're like words of affirmation and you're excited about something, like, oh, we're going to go do this and spend the day, and you go with people who are like not as jazzed as you, or they're like, you do not want to hear complaining. That just will like ruin the day.
Yes.
Yeah. You don't want to hear it.
Yes. When
all that negative talk.
When words of affirmation people are excited, be excited with them. It goes back to that positive kind of energy, that positive vibe. And it is very important to them. Yeah. It is. Encourage. They like to be encouraged, and they like to be encouraged verbally. Some of the ways that we talk about, because with words of affirmation, it's not just the spoken word. It can be written words. It can be cards. It can be all types of things. I know one of the things that you love to do is to read quotes. And a lot of times on your phone. What's on your phone right now?
I literally have a whole chapter of a book on here. I was waiting for somebody to ask me what it says so I can read it to them, because
what does
it
good. Say?
Oh, it's too long. It basically says, what does it say? It says, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who you are not to be. You're a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. So
that's right.
And then there's more to it, but it's basically like, when you play small, when you don't show up as your full self, when you don't show up and be positive if you are, and if you dull yourself down, like, it's a disservice to the world. Because when you let your light shine, it allows other people to let their light shine.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
I read it every day so I can.
And those are words of affirmation?
Yeah.
But see, it's so cute to be able to see the ways in which our love languages manifest. I knew that you had something positive, because you usually have a quote. I think that one's been on there for a while.
It has, yeah.
But if it's not that, then it's some other positive quote. So that's a neat thing. What is your screensaver? You know what mine is? Mine is like the regular, whatever it came with.
Yeah,
I don't even have a picture on there.
I always check my parents, because they change out the picture, and you didn't ever know which kid it's going to be. And when it's you, you're like, yeah. It doesn't mean anything. They just change it out.
Then I would be like, oh my gosh, I have to put both my boys on there. I put down here, one thing that's really important is to actively listen. It kind of, I would say it intersects a little bit with quality time, and the way that active listening for them is very important because words are very important. So when they have something to tell you, they feel like that's very, very important. And you need to be listening to them. You're laughing. Does that resonate
No idea
with you?
Yes, 100%. I feel like if I, we see each other quite a bit. So when I don't see you, I feel like I have to fill you in on everything that happened from the time I saw you until now.
Yes.
So we're like caught up.
Yep.
I do that.
And I love it.
I do it with B too. I'm like, I got to tell you everything. Yeah.
Yes. And what happens if somebody acts disinterested?
Oh,
To hurt.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, I usually can say to myself, it's okay. They don't have to be in that space,
Yeah.
Everybody's got their own stuff going on.
But words of affirmation, I mean, words are very important, and how people speak to you, the tone in which they speak to you, the speed at which they speak to you, how engaged they are in talking to you and listening to you. All those, for those people who have words of affirmation, people, write them, talk to them, love them with kind words. Do you have a particular thing that you love for people to say to you? Do you have like a phrase? Sometimes I run into people who have, not all affirmation people understand what they need to hear, but some of them know what they need to hear. And they're just like, if the world would just tell me X, Y, Z.
I don't know that I have a specific thing. There's certain things like, I know this might seem silly, but I think somebody
silly.
can relate. Like if I wear a new piece of clothing, I want somebody to notice. I just want to be like, oh, those are so cute. Your shoes are so cute. Or your, your shirt is so cute. Or like, I'll come in here and be like, did you see my new jacket?
So compliments are very important.
Yeah. That. And I don't know if this is like words of affirmation or more speaks to like, I think anxious thinking, because I've had a lot of anxiety in my life. And, but I know with us, I've said, sometimes I just need to just say, I'm not mad at you.
And I do. I think a lot of times words of affirmation and sometimes anxiety can go together. And in fact, Brenda had posted, she'd sent me a TikTok that was so cute about anxious behavior. I'll have to share it with you. And Brenda, if you're listening, I don't know if you are, because I think she has ministry stuff on Wednesday nights, but post that TikTok. It is so cute. Like with, I'll have to send it so you can see it. But it is so true about the, like we can feel very anxious, and especially anxious around the area of words of affirmation.
Yeah. And it's not, just to clarify, it's not that I think you're mad at me or that you are acting in a way that would make me think you're mad at me. It's almost like just this fear of like, between the time I saw you and now, something happen and it changed your mind about?
You need that verbal reassurance.
I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so remember that with words of affirmation, people, because I do say that. Yeah. I do see it a lot. And it can look like anxiety, but I think it can be a combination of they just need to be verbally reassured. Just like, a physical touch person. It's like, hey,
yes,
it's okay.
Yes. 100%.
How do you reassure a words of affirmation person? Through words, through attention, through, hey, I get it. Hey, if you have a tense conversation, hey, I'm not mad. Hey, nothing has changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And things like that become important with words of affirmation, people. Yeah, all the love languages, but you just have to learn how to speak the person's love language. I would say use uplifting tones, and we've kind of talked about that. Tone is very important. How important is tone?
Huge. It's a big deal.
Yeah. Especially, I would say, the tenser the conversation. Like if everything is going fine and then there's a little somebody, you're at a sporting event and somebody's yelling and talking louder and that's not going to be so bad. But if you're in a tense conversation and then somebody comes across a little terse, then that I think registers louder on a words of affirmation person's scale.
I agree.
Careful word choice. I would say this is very important. A lot of times you will find with words of affirmation people, not that they're always literal people, But sometimes it can be expressed like, I would say my husband is a very, very literal person. And I have a lot of friends that are literal people. But when you have a words of affirmation, word choice is very important. Like if somebody's talking about your outfit, do you want them to be very concise about how they're describing it?
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
Yes.
Instead of
all the adjectives.
nice outfit.
Yeah. Or, oh, you have new pants.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a statement,
I'm
not
need
a
a little
compliment.
more. I'm going to need more information.
Thanks for your observation, but what do you think about my pants?
Yes. So remember, depending upon even because different personality types can be in this. So use your words carefully. A lot of times, we talk about like words will have a different connotation. And you really want to be able to understand to your person what the different connotation for that word is. There's some people that they're just sensitive to certain words. Are there any words that you're like, man, they're not overall negative, but you can have a negative experience with those words. So you're like, oh, like, okay, I have a perfect one. I'm not even words of affirmation.
Okay.
Do you know which one I'm talking about?
For you?
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure. I'm not 100.
You're gonna
I'm
laugh
sure when you
tell
say it, I'll know.
If I
probably
ask
don't say
somebody, hey, would you like a drink of water?
Oh, yeah, you do have. That's right. I forgot about that. Do not say sure. Yes or no.
It's
yes,
yes
thank you.
or no. Yes, that would be amazing. But sure, because to me, and there's nothing wrong with it. Anybody that says sure. But that's kind of like, that is so non-committal to me.
You hate that word.
I don't like that word. And then so we laugh around here when I ask somebody something and they go, sure.
Yeah.
Would you like a water?
Sure.
You don't want it that bad then.
Yeah. No, that's
Would you
good.
like to go so and so?
Sure. You're like, oh, I guess you don't really want to go.
Yeah.
You're just willing to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's funny. Like nothing wrong with anybody saying it. But for me, that is like very non-committal.
What's funny is that now that you know that, you will hear it and you can't unhear it. And you'll be like, she's so right. Because there's times that it's appropriate.
Absolutely.
Like there's times where it's like, sure. Like no problem. But,
like, I guess.
But you'll hear the difference.
If I have to. Okay, sure. Throw water on me.
I love it.
But I'm a person that likes commitment. Like, do you want a water? Yeah. I want a water. Or do you want to go out later? Yeah, that sounds amazing. Just that. I don't know. Something about sure. I'm not even a words of affirmation person, and that would be a perfect example of that. Like they can have certain cue in on certain words. I can't think of another word that is really like that for me.
Okay, I had someone in my life, and the word "shut up."
Yeah,
it was even joking.
Yeah, that would be hard on a words of affirmation.
Couldn't do it. Like, I mean, even you know how you'll be joking around, you'll tell somebody something, you'll be like, "Shut up!" And
shut up.
Yeah, even that was
we say
like
that all the time. Shut up, get out of here.
Even that was like absolutely not. And I just said, okay. I said, give me a minute to adjust, but
I will do my best.
If that bothers you, no problem.
Yeah. That's so funny. Now everybody's going to be thinking of
words that affect them. I know. You're gonna be like,
don't say sure. Nobody needs to hear sure. I'm going to start to change the world.
The word sure is going to be dumped from the English language.
I know. Which there is sometimes it's appropriate.
There are times.
But like I said, I'm just usually I want commitment. Like, commit to yay or nay.
Do you mind if I pet your dog? Sure.
Like that would be like, do you want me to pet? Do you want to pet him or do you not?
Right.
Like you can't. It's just a mediocre word.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. We're moving on to the do nots. I would say if you have a words of affirmation person, do not use harsh tones. Don't use criticism, and don't put them down in public.
Ooh. That's a big one.
Tell me about that one.
That's a big one. You just don't do it.
You don't.
Just don't. If we have an issue, if there's a problem, if I do something embarrassing, let's not bring that up in front of other people. We can talk about it later. We can laugh about it later, but Please don't bring that up in
Yeah.
front of other people.
Because a lot of times with words of affirmation, people and it's not in a bad way, they can be very image conscious.
Yeah.
Like, what do people think about me? What are people going to say about me?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's very important, not to insult them in public, to put them down in public, to criticize them in public.
I'm like, who would be okay with that?
I know. They don't even like it in private.
No.
So,
And if we see other people doing it to other people, that's hard too.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what if you're in a grocery store and you see a mom yelling at her child?
Oh my gosh. I have to be like, it's none of my business. It's
Yeah.
none of my business. But
Okay,
it's hard.
You're like, it's okay, fine. Wound your child's soul. Just kidding. Don't do that.
Therapy bill. No.
I know.
No, it is. It's hard to see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So caution, I would say caution if you're a words of affirmation person. One of the things that I always caution a words of affirmation person is you're just susceptible to somebody saying nice things to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like just because
Yes.
somebody says nice things to you doesn't mean that they are being honest and true and they're
Right.
for you. You're very susceptible to charm. Like if somebody
yeah.
started complimenting you and pouring it on and laying it on thick,
That's right.
you'd be like, tell me more.
No, I will say I have wised up in that. And so now if someone does that, I'm like, I give them a little side eye. Like, what's going on here? Because some people are genuinely just complimentary.
Some people absolutely,
But
but
I
you
tell
can
you
kind of
what.
tell there's a difference.
Yeah.
Because some people don't know you well enough to speak into the things that they're trying to speak into.
Right.
Yeah, like specifically, like when you start dating, they don't know you well enough to know, they can have fun on the date and you could be like, wow, this was a really amazing connection and I can't wait to get to know you more.
Mm-hmm.
But if they tell you in 2 days they love you, they don't know you. They do not know you well enough to say that they love you.
Right.
They don't know anything about you.
Yeah.
They know that maybe they like the way you're making them feel.
Mm-hmm.
They can like that, we're having an amazing connection, but they don't know enough to say those words.
Yeah. And I think with all of the love languages, and I think we've talked about this in some of the other lives, it's so important to know, like, if you're love hungry, if you're love starved, if you are susceptible in a certain area, like I do pay attention to that with compliments and stuff. I'm like, give it a minute. Wait and see. You don't really know, like get to know them.
Yeah. Because there are some people that think that that's easy access to gain favor with
Right.
people. So they will just, they just tell you what you want to hear
Right.
instead of what may be true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that I would say caution if your words of affirmation in that way. And also understand that you might be the person that is over complimenting, that you're trying to ingratiate yourself to somebody. So you're using all your fancy compliment words.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So you could be on either end of the spectrum with that. So just watch that, because the truest thing is sincerity.
Yeah.
And you always want to go for that. Critical level, we've kind of talked about this with each of the love languages. If you're in a relationship with a words of affirmation person, how do we reach like danger, danger, red alert, red alert? The critical level is if they start using harsh words with you, and another way is they quit talking.
Mm-hmm.
How much does it take for you just to quit talking?
Ooh, that means I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye. Later.
Yep.
No more Christina.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And what if you, because you're not one to use harsh words, you're one to watch your words.
Yeah, I try. I mean, every now and then, we all have bad days.
We all got to have those
But
days.
I will say, if I do, I always feel bad. Even
Yeah.
if it's just like a stranger, I always just feel so bad about it later.
Yeah.
And try to
Yes.
see if I can fix it somehow.
I can always gauge how she's doing by by the words.
About how I'm speaking.
Yeah, because
No, I
you
get
can
it.
tell when a words of affirmation person just gets to their
Yeah.
limit, they're using words that are unacceptable to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's more like a and then not talking. It's not like, not necessarily that I'm gonna totally giving myself away, but
Just, no,
I'm
you're not.
I know I'm teasing. It's not even like not talking. It's like not even like
Caring.
sharing or caring or
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
Because if that's your love language, that talking to somebody and sharing with them, and those are very important things.
Yeah, it means
to
that
you.
I feel like I've got to protect myself,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
But it's just because of hurt.
Yes. Okay. So now what I want to talk about, I had a note on here about careers, but, and that makes a good point. I don't know. Have I talked about careers and love languages?
I can't remember. I think we did a little bit.
A
with
little
some of
bit?
them. Like I remember with physical touch, we did. We
Okay.
did talk about it then.
Okay. Because in the context, like, gosh, your love language matters so much. And usually you're going to gravitate towards, with a writer. If you're going to be a writer, a lot of times they're going to be words of affirmation people, not exclusively and not always, but generally, if you have an appreciation for words, then words are going to matter to you. If you're more of kind of like an administrator kind of person, then you're a doer, and acts of service will likely come into that. People who like counselors, pastors, things like that are a lot of times quality time people and quality people. Remember, we talked about quality and not being necessarily quality time, but just quality. They find relationships very, very important and things like that. And gifts are, imagine being a personal shopper. How amazing would that be?
Right?
That would be, you're buying gifts and giving gifts like kind of all the time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just take a look at if you're discontent in your in what you do, ask yourself, okay, how can I express my love language in what I do a little bit better? Because sometimes it just takes like a small tweak to do things like that. Kind of like, I would say, you worked in a salon one time when you had to hurry.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
Oh, I hated that. And
I know.
one of my biggest, I know what you're talking about, which salon
Yeah.
I was in. And one of my biggest difficulties that I struggled with working there is that they had zero focus on relationship from the stylist to the client. And then somebody said to me, I told somebody about that. They said, that's because they're not worried about your relationship with them. They want to have the relationship with them.
Yeah.
To the company. And I was
Exactly.
like, oh, that
You're
totally
expendable.
right. They don't care if you
Yeah.
build a relationship, and that bothered me so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so that's a perfect case in the context of hair like that. What do you do? You work best one-on-one.
Yep.
Where you have time to talk to the person. You
Yep.
have time. You have quality time with the person. And like I said, just in your career, if you're not satisfied, and that was a place I would say that you did not get a lot of satisfaction
No.
out of, just because of the interaction with people.
I enjoyed more of the interaction I had with the people I worked with.
Yes.
Because that's where I got to build relationships.
Yeah.
And we did spend a lot of time together because you had a lot of time between
Yeah.
clients and things like that. So I did get that. But in the work itself, no, it was very like,
Yeah.
maybe if I was acts of service, I would have been fine, because it's very service driven.
Yes.
It was very service driven.
Yeah.
And they did quality service. Yeah.
Very good company. It just
yeah.
wasn't a good fit
Right.
for your love languages.
Right.
And so that's why, like, we think, maybe our love languages don't matter, but they really, really, really do.
Yeah, I can see it all through every career I've had. I did sign language interpreting for a little while, and the language, I loved learning the new language. I
Yeah.
loved learning about the culture. I loved all of it, but
Yeah.
the relationships, it opened up a whole world to relationships with other people.
Yes.
I've met people that I've known for 15 years now that I met only because I knew sign language.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And think about, additionally, if you're a giver, if you're a gift person, and you work for a chintzy organization or a business, that's going to be really hard on you for people that are like more concerned with, in an unbalanced way. Obviously, if you're in business, you want to be successful in that. But if you cheat people, if you're not giving, like a lot of gifts people will have a problem with that, because a lot of times gifts people, they're very generous people.
Yes.
If they're healthy, they're very, very generous
Yeah.
types people.
Well, and I would say you're not really, well, you did say gifts is really high, and I do see that with you. Like, that's really, you give a lot and you give
I will give
quality.
the farm away.
You will. You will.
I will literally give the farm
yeah.
away.
Yeah. We were talking about something earlier, and I was like, oh, we shouldn't charge that or something we were talking about. And you're like, that's usually the opposite, because you're usually like, no,
that's
let's
true.
keep it lower. And I'm like, no, let's do it higher. And
Yep.
anyway, it was
And
funny,
it
because
is.
you'll give everything away.
I will. I have to have balance on the other side.
Yeah.
With that. And that's important. But just like I said, just think about love languages as the weeks go on. I encourage you to go online, make sure you take the test, and periodically review what is your love language and what are the love languages around you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I want to talk about now is it's not a love language, but it is a language. It's called the language of behavior. Because here's what's hard. And we talked a little bit about this at Roundtable. I just kind of dipped into a portion of this aspect of it, in that behavior matters in relationships. Motivation matters to God. And if I hurt somebody's feelings, what I'm likely to fight over is my motivation. But what do you see in interpersonal relationships? You see behavior. Is what I'm saying consistent with what I'm doing? And I think a lot of times people, they come in, and one of the things they have the most problem with is the language of behavior. They will have a person come in and they'll say, I don't know if I should stay in this relationship. I don't know if I should get out. Well, let's talk about the language of behavior in the relationship. Well, the person, they don't know if they want to be in the relationship with me. Done.
100%.
And the language of behavior is telling you what? Because sometimes people don't have the ability to say things. Like if you are in a relationship and that person cannot be honest with themselves, they can't be honest with you either. So sometimes you have to look to the language of behavior to kind of discern what is going on. Now, I'm not talking about trying to tell yourself a story about what the other person is saying. But at some point, you have people who won't tell you what they think. You have people who won't tell you what they feel. So you have to look to behavior. Obviously, in an ongoing healthy relationship, you're having discussions, you're sharing ideas, you're sharing feelings, you're sharing thoughts, and it's a conversation that goes back and forth. It's a dialogue. You talk, I like this, you like that, I don't like this, you don't like that, and you get information. But if you are in a relationship with somebody who is not speaking, who is not talking, or they will just tell you whatever you want to hear, you better learn the language of behavior. Because behavior will begin to say a lot about what they're not talking about. And if they're not talking to you, you have to begin to decide, and you have to take ownership of that and say, okay, this person isn't communicating with me as much as I'm trying to communicate with them. I'm not talking about like learning how to communicate with somebody. I'm just saying the person doesn't communicate with you, but they will communicate through their actions and through their behaviors. And then you can make a choice through that. But a lot of times people will say, we always have these relationships. I keep going back to that, where the person won't say they want to break up, but they're not calling, they're not spending time, they're not, like
prioritizing the relationship.
Yeah. And there's like a bazillion red flags, and they're like, well, I don't know. I'm waiting. They haven't said they want to break up. Yes, they have. Yes. At some point, the language of behavior, when all other forms of communication have broken down, you have to listen to the language of behavior. And we see that a lot here.
Yeah.
Somebody will just be hanging on.
Oh, yeah.
Waiting for the talk, or waiting for somebody to tell them, I don't care.
Yep.
And they're speaking to you.
Yeah.
The language of behavior is loud.
Or they're like, no, they're not doing that at all. I don't see that, And
be like, the whole nation sees it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Helen Keller sees that.
I see people really struggle to admit it, like to just be honest with themselves, because they think if they're honest with themselves, now they have to do something about it.
Yes.
And I'm like, we don't have to. We can see it and then decide later.
Yes. But
Yep.
people, like I said, listen. If behavior is a language. I'm not talking about telling I'm not talking about telling yourself a story that you're just assigning meaning. But if you're in a relationship and the person has stopped communicating with you, listen to the language of behavior.
Yep.
So important.
It
right?
is. It's a huge way of communicating. It's I was thinking about something earlier today that I did, and I was like, oh, I'm communicating through my actions and behavior.
It's kind of like somebody slamming the door. Are you mad? No, I'm not mad. Yes, you are.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm fine.
It does. It goes back to sometimes we're in relationships with people who don't have the ability to communicate or are avoidant behaviors, shut down behaviors. And you have to decide, do I want to be in a relationship with somebody that has these kind of behaviors?
Right.
Because what these behaviors are telling me is that they don't respect me and they don't care.
Yeah. Be willing to look at it too. Don't continue to lie to yourself.
Yeah.
Be willing to look at the behavior. Because a lot of times we want to ignore it.
Yes. And you can't look at an isolated behavior. Like,
Oh, that's a
you
good
know what
point.
I mean?
Yes.
Like one time they brought you flowers. One time they said a compliment. So it's kind of like in your mind, you keep holding on. Like that's the bar that you think is their regular show up energy. And it is just not. That was an outlier experience. That was like out of the, once in a blue moon behavior. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we better wrap this up and get out of here. But like I said, I wanted to make that note about the language of behavior because it is a love language, kind of an anti-love language, but it is definitely a language that you want to listen for, just like you listen to the love languages.
Absolutely. That's good. I love that.
Yeah,
Really good
so
points.
we will see you. When's the next time we'll see everybody on
We will be back live next Wednesday, and then the following Sunday we have roundtable.
Yes.
So we will see you again next Wednesday live for our healing meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll see you then. You have a very, very blessed week, and let us know what you think about love languages and drop a comment about the language of behavior. Have you been in a relationship where they haven't communicated it to you, but their behavior has? Let us know.
It's good.
It is good.
Yeah. I love that. We talk about
Yes.
behavior and stuff.
Yes.
It's good stuff. Rocco always
gotta
sits
itch
on the...
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah, only for the live. He sits back there on the pillow.
I know.
I don't know that he does that other than...
Are we off air?
Oh.
Okay, that is true. Miss Susan has pointed out that we are not ever officially off air until I pray. So
okay.
let me go ahead and pray. Thank you, Susan. Dear Lord, we just humbly come before you. Lord, I would just say thank you. Thank you that we have the ability to hear people's languages and ability to see people's languages, Lord, and that we would just listen, Lord, that it would help us love our fellow man just better and better and better. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Now Susan can end
Now
our
we can
live.
officially shut it down.
Yes.
That's good.